This is Apple's actual product page. Every card expanding, every image swapping out, every transition. I rebuilt this entire thing in Framer. And this isn't just some random animation on one page either. Apple's used this exact same interaction across their whole latest lineup. iPhone 17, 17 Pro, Air, and even the complete Apple Watch lineup. Same cards, same transitions everywhere. So today I'm going to show you how I rebuilt this entire thing in Framer step by step from the very first click all the way to the final working animation. By the end, you'll have this exact same interaction working on your own site. Let's get into it. This is the starter file I've designed and we'll make all our changes on it to convert it into that beautiful animation like Apple's. Remix link to this file is in the description. I highly recommend that you follow along with me. The final file remix link will also be made available to you. Just watch till the end to know how you can access it. So to start, first let's take a look at the design file. It has all the feature cards and all the images that we'll require are also available here. They're just hidden for the moment. First, convert this into a component. Now we have to design the first variant, in which when we click on the colors card, it shows the iPhone in orange color. So I'll create a new variant. Zoom in a bit to see everything clearly. Now if you look closely at the Apple's design, when you click, the color cards expands and there is a description for the color and 3 color options are shown. When you click any of the color options, you can see that color iPhone. Okay, here my approach for this and understand the rookie mistake that many developers make. If we try to add a click interaction on the colors card, and in the next variant we try to expand that card and add color circles inside that card and still add the user interactions on those circles, the whole animation will break. If you're asking the reason why, well, it's pretty simple. All those color circles are present inside the parent frame, and that parent frame already has a click interaction. So when a user is clicking on those color circles, he's actually clicking the parent frame. So that's why he's not going anywhere and just looping back to the same variant over and over again. Now to solve this problem, I'll create a new clickable card and separate it from the rest of the content. First, I'll duplicate the colors card, delete all the content inside, and move it inside the original colors card. I know it's looking weird because its position is relative. So change it to absolute. Adjust its position so it overlaps with the original card. Reduce its z-index so it sits below all the content. We did all these changes in a second variant, which is not our primary variant. So we need to make it visible in our primary variant. I highly recommend that you do all these changes in your primary variant because that way all the changes will directly show up in all other variants and it will save you a lot of time. Now add the click interaction by clicking on the lightning bolt icon and dragging the arrow to the variant. Turn off the visibility of that clickable container in our second variant because it has no use here. Duplicate the text layer to add the description and turn off the visibility of the original text layer. Change the content to what's written on the Apple's website. Make adjustments and select everything after the main text color and reduce the weight to regular. Adjust the padding of the stack to 30 pixels, just like Apple's design. Now observe that in the expanded form, the color circles are after the description. So change their order. And the color circles are below the description. So change the direction of the stack to vertical. Okay, now it's starting to look a lot like Apple's version. Now you can scroll back and see that the changes made in this variant do not affect the first variant, which is our primary variant. Remember the components rule. Changes made on the child variant do not show up on the primary variant, but the changes made on primary variant, they show up everywhere. That's why I always recommend. Any change you want on all your variants, just do those changes on the primary variant and it will show up everywhere. and this will save you a lot of time. If you want to jog up your memory on components, you can watch my detailed video on components after this one. It's linked in the description and the top right corner. Now I need to add more color circles here. So I'll keep them in a separate stack. And make sure you rename all your layers properly. If you've looked closely at the apple's design, there's a border around the color circles which is not touching the circle itself. There's a small gap between them. Now to pull that off, I'll first duplicate the orange circle and add it into a frame. I'll increase the size of this frame so it acts like a border to this orange circle. Convert it into that stack so that the orange circle lies at perfectly center of it. Add a border and make adjustments to its color and width. Then increase the radius of this frame to make it a complete circle. Now you can see it's looking exactly like Apple's design, literally no difference. Rename them properly so they can be recognized easily later on. Now we need two more color circles with the border. So I duplicate them and change their color to blue and silver. Similarly, we need two more color circles that do not have a border. So I'll duplicate the orange circle without a border and change their colors to blue and silver. And make sure to rename them properly for later use. Now arrange these color circles in the proper order. And for this variant, we want to show orange color. So we'll turn the visibility off for the orange without border and the navy and silver circles with border. From time to time, go back and check your primary variant because sometimes it may get affected only due to some sizing issues from the new frames or stacks that you have added. So make sure to adjust that. Super easy. So all the changes in terms of the colors card expanding and showing the content are done. Now it's time for the image. First, I'll turn on the visibility of the orange iPhone image and turn off the visibility of the main iPhone image. So now if I preview this, you can see that as I click, there is no animation like Apple's. Things feel really static. But if I check Apple's version, the main image enlarges and disappears, and the second image pops in. Now to pull this off, first make the main iPhone image visible, enlarge it, and reduce its opacity to 0. Just remember, this is the final state of the image in the animation. Now we need to add a close button to go back to the primary variant. So I'll draw a frame, adjust its size, and make it a complete circle. Change the fill to dark gray to match the cards. Now drag the frame onto the variant. Make sure the position is set to absolute and adjust its position to the top right corner of the frame. Now, to add the close icon, we'll use the built-in icon menu from Framer. Select the close icon and paste it into the frame. Change its color to white and increase its width so it's clearly visible. And just like that, Our close button's ready. All that's left now is to add a click interaction to make the button actually work. Now you can see, as I zoom out, that lightning bolt button isn't visible anymore. So there's another more practical way to add these interactions. Go to the right panel on interactions option and click on new transition and select the variant you want to appear when a user clicks on the close button. One thing to make sure of, always rename your variants properly. First, it will help you understand your build better when you come back months later. Second, it will help you locate your variants more faster when the components get really bigger. Suppose you have 40 or 50 variants. Using this exact same process, we can build our blue iPhone variant. But you'll see that the process is really simple and easy now because we've already done the majority of our work earlier. This blue iPhone is the variant of the orange iPhone. So that will be its parent. Add a new variant to this orange one. The description stays the same, but the changes will be in the color circles. So I'll select the orange circle with border and blue circle without border and turn their visibility off. Now I'll select the orange circle without border and blue circle with border and turn on their visibility for this variant. Now it's time for the image. In Apple's version, the blue iPhone image fades in nicely and the orange one fades out without any sort of movement. So I'll turn on the visibility of the blue iPhone image here and reduce the opacity of the orange iPhone to 0. This will make the orange iPhone image fade out smoothly and nicely. Now I'll link the orange color circle to its correct variant and do the same for the blue circle in the previous one. We took care of the orange image fading out, but we also need the blue image fading in. So here in the previous variant, turn on the visibility of the blue iPhone image and reduce its opacity to 0. Now if I preview this, you can see as I click, the images fade in and out nicely. We can actually make this smoother and adjust the timing of these animations, and I'll show you that later in the video. You can create the silver iPhone variant using this exact same process. I want you to give it a try yourself. If you get stuck, you can ask me in the comments, share your remix link. So now, all the color variants are ready and they're working exactly how I wanted. Now it's time to build the variants for the other cards. And trust me, the hard part's already over. The next variants are actually really easy to build. The only new thing now is how to build those images transitioning from right to left when we move from one card to other. That looks difficult, but it's actually really easy. My approach to that is a bit different. Apple's built this in a way where even if you're going backwards from down to top, images still transition from right to left. I think this looks a bit weird. I want images to follow the same movement as the cards. So for example, when a user goes from top to bottom, images will transition from right to left, showing that you're moving forward. And when the user moves backward from bottom to top, images will also transition in that order, that is from left to right. This just makes more sense to me. I'll also tell you at the end of this video what changes you need to make to this design to build it exactly like Apple's. But for now, we're going with my version, which only differs from Apple in terms of image movement when going backwards. That's the only difference. Create a new variant and rename it. This is the first thing to do before making any change to a variant. In Apple's version, this card expands into a description about the aluminum unibody. And there's nothing else. No icons to click, nothing. Just the description. So to create the description, I'll duplicate the text layer, turn off the visibility for the plus icon and the original text layer. I'll increase the padding of the card to 30 pixels to make it more spacious. Paste the content from Apple's website and adjust where the new line is. Select the text after aluminum unibody and change its weight to regular. That's it. The card animation is done. I told you, all the heavy lifting in the card animation is already done. Now it's all the simple stuff, except the image animation. So, moving to the image animation. First of all, I'll do the same thing I did with the colors variant. Increase the size of the iPhone image and reduce its opacity to 0. Turn on the visibility of the aluminum unibody image, and I'll turn on the visibility of the close button so I don't forget that later. And I'll link the aluminum unibody card to this variant. So when a user clicks on it, it turns into this variant. Before animating images, first let's preview if everything is working fine or not. It's essential that we check after every few steps to make sure everything's running as expected. And everything's running smoothly. All the buttons are working fine. So far, so good. Now, how do we want the image to animate? We want that when a user moves from colors card to the aluminum unibody card, the iPhone should move to left and towards the bottom and disappear. And the aluminum unibody image should appear from bottom right side into its place. So to pull that off, first we need to make all the image layers visible. I told you earlier, if we want to animate them, turn on their visibility. Select all 3 iPhone images from the previous variants and move them to the left side, because that's where we want the image to fade out and decrease its size by changing its height to 70% of the frame. And you can use the position menu on the right side to perfectly pin the image to the bottom of the frame. Since we want the image to fade out, I'll change the opacity to 0. Remember, I told you, animation is all about remembering the final state of the animation. We have completed the first half of the image animation, the iPhone colors image fading out. The second half is the aluminum unibody image fading in from the right side. Now, I'll do this quickly for all 3 variants in one go. Select the aluminum unibody image in all 3 iPhone color variants. To select multiple layers, hold Command or Control on Windows while selecting the layers. Now, with the image layer selected in all 3 variants, first turn their visibility on, then shift the image to the right side so half of it is out of the frame. Decrease its height to 70% of the frame and use the position options to pin it to the bottom of the frame. After doing all these adjustments to its position, turn the opacity to 0, since we want the image to fade in from the bottom right side. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but the reason why we are giving this movement to these images because it gives an illusion of these images moving in a circular path. Imagine like these images are sitting on top of Big Ben, and as you move from top to bottom, the Big Ben is moving anti-clockwise direction. Now let's preview and check if we did everything correctly. And as we move from colors card to the aluminum unibody card, the image is animating exactly like we wanted. But you'll notice the transition speed is a problem here. The animation's really quick, so a user will barely notice it. Like if you blink, you'll miss the transition. Don't worry, I'll teach you how to adjust the speed and give you the best transition settings later in the video. So hang with me till the end. Now I'll create the next variant, and the whole process is literally the same. Exact same steps as the previous variant. It's just that now we'll be handling one more image. But the core is the same. Let's build this quickly. First, I'll turn off the visibility of the plus icon and the original text layer, and duplicate the text layer to later turn this into our description for the vapor chamber. I'll quickly paste the content from Apple's website and change the weight of everything after vapor chamber to regular. I'll also adjust where the new line starts in the description and make sure the line height is set to 1.5 em, which is equal to 1.5 times the font size. Now change the padding of the card to 30 pixels. And just like before, repeat the same process of enlarging the primary iPhone image and changing its opacity to 0. Turn on the visibility of all the other images and adjust their position and opacity just like we did before to build the variant for the vapor chamber. And repeat the same process for all the previous variants too. Select the vapor chamber image, turn on its visibility, adjust its position, size, and opacity, and another variant is fully complete. Make sure to link this component with the vapor chamber card in the primary variant, otherwise it's all useless. And turn on the visibility of the close button. Preview the component and you can see it's working perfectly fine. All the transitions and movements are exactly like how I want it. Use the same process to build the rest of the variants. I'll leave the task up to you. The process is literally the same, there's nothing new or extra in it. But first, let me show you how you can adjust the transition speed. It's actually really simple. Just go to the primary variant, click on the transition under styles and adjust the speed. Since the transitions are too fast, adjust the time to zero point 0.6 seconds, which I think is the best setting for transition speed for this particular animation. So, using the same process, I have built all the variants for this component. Now hang with me for a minute to know how you can access the remix link of this final file. I've also added the arrows just like Apple's version, using which a user can move up or down through the cards. I'm leaving this up to you on how you can build them. Now let's preview the whole animation. The transitions are smooth. It's working perfectly fine. Images are transitioning nicely. Cards are also expanding smoothly. And all the buttons are working perfectly. Remember, at the start of the video, I talked about how to create image transitions that Apple has actually done, in which images transition from right to left. That is, they fade in from right and fade out to left no matter what direction you're going. It's actually really simple and not very complex, but it is a very time consuming task. From each of these variants that we've built, you'd have to create more variants just for going backwards. And in each of them, the images will be moving from right to left. That is, you'll have to create a whole new ecosystem of variants for each of these variants that we've built. It's a pointless and time consuming task in my opinion. I think this image movement is much more natural compared to Apple's version. So the remix link to the starter file is available in the description. It has the raw file from where we started our first build. I want you to genuinely give it a real try. You can also follow along with me in the video. If you face any problems, just comment down below and I'll help you with that. And I'll also share the final files remix link. Even if you don't give it a try, just comment down below and I'll share with you the final file remix link. If you found this video helpful, then like the video, subscribe to the channel and recommend what you want me to recreate next. And in the meantime, you can watch this video where I show you how to build 5 beautiful scroll animations that make your website look way more expensive. And I'll see you next week.